Losing weight is, well, sometimes a controversial topic because it can bring up issues of shame, and it's also kind of challenging for a lot of us. Well, I'm going to teach you in this video a reframe. I'm going to lay out a way to think about weight loss, if you will, in a very spiritual and holistic sense. So stay tuned. Hello, welcome to the Charmed Life channel. This channel is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe. And I am your host here. My name is Tricia Carr. Before we head into the topic of this video, I want to invite you to please like, subscribe, share, comment, and click the little bell so you get notifications for when I release videos. I also want to invite you to my Instagram, which is at Tricia Carr Charm, and my podcast, Charmed Life with Tricia Carr. Now, you will probably be able to find a full-length episode on that includes this topic, but a lot more, because this topic I am actually going to be giving to you, as I said in the cold open, it's about weight loss, but we're gonna drop that idea entirely. This is really about ascension. This is about body ascension. Particularly for this video, I'm going to give you some reframe of that, but it is also about mind ascension and mind body ascension, because these two complexes of the triunity, mind body spirit complex of the human being, are interrelated, correlated, and actually necessary in order for us to continue to be on our path of ascension, distillation, and alchemy, in order to be in alignment with our mission. It is a part of what we are here to do. So I'm going to stop saying weight loss here in a moment or two. However, I do want to, of course, preface this whole topic with weight loss is not something that anyone else, except for your doctor, has a right to project onto you. And so this is definitely not about body shaming. No, this is about restoring sovereignty in your mind body complex so that you can have a healthy and well attuned body composition. Now, I'm just going to talk about reducing weight, releasing weight that is unnecessary and unhealthy. Unnecessary, maybe unhealthy, maybe unnecessary. However, we should say also that improving body composition for some may also be adding weight, adding density to the body. I'm just not going to be talking about that so that I can keep this nice and tidy. I'm going to be talking about the releasing or reducing of unnecessary weight. Now, the weight loss or whatever body composition alignment is not a destination either. It's a process, like the whole journey is. So, improving your health, improving your body composition, and however those may be or may not be correlated, is a journey. And so, it's best that we actually get on our own side about it. I have had to work through a challenge of being both overweight or requiring of myself as well as for my health to reduce unhealthy weight, fat, really, unhealthy, unnecessary fat. And I've also been in the position of being underweight in my life. And I got to tell you, being underweight, I didn't know how I got there. I didn't have an eating disorder. I didn't have tools, and I certainly didn't have a proper mindset to be able to be in a healthy weight body composition. And so I've been on both sides of it. And when I was in the underweight or too light of a category, I was really at a loss because I didn't know how to add healthy weight. And I certainly I didn't think that I had the resources. And this was pre-internet, or, at least we had some internet, but not as much as we do now. So I didn't even really have the resources to research it. I had to really kind of do trial and error. And when I say I didn't have resources, I couldn't hire anyone to tell me about it. I didn't have the cash, you know. I digress. So I just need to preface that there. And let's please drop our assumptions about shame at the door, because let's look at this fully with our heart open, because really what a lot of this that we're talking about is being able to work with yourself with complete compassion and care. So I'll just wrap up this section of the video by saying this is definitely not insinuating or implying that anyone of any body composition needs to change it. Again, unless your doctor says so, unless your doctor recommends that for health purposes, you should improve or shift your body composition. And this is just simply about bringing the sovereignty back into you, back in alignment, so that you can continue on your ascension path and your life mission. So let's get right into it. Okay, first, let's talk about what ascension is, because the way that I am going to help you to understand the reframe of losing weight is to help you to understand your process, everyone's process of ascension. Ascension is an alchemical process of transforming material or thought form into a refined state. A material or thought form. So when we're talking about the physical body, that would be material. A thought form would be when we're working with mind ascension, and that would be a belief, a limiting belief. It is an ascension process. Now, the other thing to note here is, of course, that it is an alchemical process, which will come into sharp focus here in just a bit. So, ascension is the process that we are all on to be able to be in alignment and in an expedited, purposeful connection with our life mission. So, here is the reframe. If you are someone who needs to or would like to release unnecessary weight toward a greater health alignment, physical health alignment, but also, mind, body, spirit alignment, it is difficult for the mind to get on board with losing anything, because your mind includes the primitive mind. The primitive mind is triggered into fight flight when it believes it is losing something. The loss of something is the loss of life to the primitive mind, because that's all it knows. It knows survival. Now, you might think primitive mind, you might also think ego, whatever works for you. But the primitive mind wants to lose nothing. Losing anything is equal. It's a very simple thinker. It's losing life. Therefore, it will trigger fight flight. And that also may bubble up to more sophisticated experiences of fight flight, which could be shame, which could be other, experiences that inside the subconscious mind that we're not fully aware of. But this is what helped me to get on my own side about improving my body composition to the end of releasing fat, releasing weight. And that is, rather than losing weight, we want to release density. Releasing density is ascension. So I want to ascend my body complex. Ascending my body complex, releasing density. Releasing density, it's one step away from losing weight, right? But it is a more appropriate way for the primitive mind to be able to allow it without resisting it quite as much. I said recently on a post that resistance to positive change is just your inner child asking a question. And the question always boils down to, am I safe? So that's the question the primitive mind is always asking. It is the inner child, and it is also the except the primitive mind is more active than the inner child. The primitive mind is going to create that resistance because the primitive mind does the fight flight, which means it will fight you. So if we're telling ourselves, I have to lose weight, and then we fill in some other self-judgment or criticism, some terrible thing to say to oneself, because I am this, or I look like this, or whatever, essentially because I'm bad, that is not going to help you to be on your own side and to activate your sovereign process of ascension or alchemy. Now, that is what we are reframing losing weight to, is body ascension, releasing density. So you notice here, as this slide says, that the process of the process of ascension is an alchemical process. So keep that in mind, transforming a material or thought form into a refined state. So now let's look at body syndromes. This is a way that it is taught in the HMI College of Hypnotherapy. It is a system, body syndrome is a system that was created by Dr. John Kappas. It is based on the chakra system. And essentially, this is just a shorthand, just to give you an idea, that a body syndrome is a physical manifestation of an emotional trauma When an emotion is held or repressed instead of being processed and released, the emotion will express itself as a physical discomfort, physical manifestation of some kind. A prolonged discomfort may, over time, become a dis-ease. Hence, the focus of modern medicine to prevent stress-related diseases such as ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome, Epstein-Barr, etc., and of course, body compositional concerns, whether it's too little weight or too much weight. And we're focusing on too much weight in this particular video. So, as this says that it is a manifestation of an emotional trauma. I want to also digress a little bit here because sometimes we have predispositions about what we're experiencing that we actually set up pre-birth. And so we once again want to realize that this is not about blaming ourselves about thinking or feeling incorrectly. That is never helpful. That is the ego trying to hijack metaphysics. That is a 3D limited perspective trying to hijack something that is intending to be unlimited. We actually need to extend more compassion and release any of the lower function of shame, guilt, or blame in order to work with metaphysical concepts. So, the reason I say that it could be a pre birth thing is because, well, for example, I'll just give you an example from my own personal experience. I have my body composition is such that I have some fat cells in one area and very, very few fat cells in another area. And I was just talking to my doctor yesterday about an issue that I have, which is actually endometriosis. And the doctor said, she's an integrative doctor, she said, well, when there is age related autoimmune endometriosis, cortisol, I don't remember exactly what she said, that kind of weight gain actually happens around the hips. So she was saying that when I was talking to her about the weight gain that I get, which is here on my belly, can you see? Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was in frame. On my belly, she was saying, well, I don't think that that's what it's from because that kind of weight gain you were talking about happens on the hips. And I said, well, I just don't gain weight on my hips. I just don't have a lot of fat cells there. It goes to more concentrated areas in different parts of my body. And she was like, oh, okay. Well, then we have to scrap that. So for me, I pre-birth because it's just the propensity of my body, the genes I received and the parents that I selected pre-birth, that I'm not going to put on a ton of weight in one area over another. And what's interesting about that is that is my, in a sense, karma. The issues that are related to this part of the body. If we look at body syndromes, this is around the sacral and solar plexus, and the lower three chakras, but particularly the sacral. And I have an ongoing challenge, lesson about the things that are oriented to sacral energy. And as I mentioned, I have endometriosis that is oriented to sacral energy. And it's something that it is a part of my lesson. It's a part of what I am learning. So there's no reason for me to blame myself or shame myself for having belly weight there. Now, that leads me to my next slide, which is what it means spiritually speaking, or what's going on energetically when we put on weight. Well, when we are holding density, as I would like for us to think about it, rather than gaining weight, holding density. Why are we holding density? What is the spiritual purpose or the energetic precursor to it? Well, holding density can be because it's a protection mechanism. Once again, using my own experience, I put on weight here. That's the first place. I mean, I put it on other places if I, build it up. I put it on here. This is my most vulnerable area of my physical body. It's also my most vulnerable area of my energy body. My human design, I'm a reflector, so all of my energy centers are completely open. However, I am most challenged because of the homogenized matrix, the homogenized society, with feeling like I need to have a lot more sacral energy than I do naturally, and also feeling exposed emotionally, which is the solar plexus. So, thus, the areas that I put on weight. It makes so much sense with my energy. These are the areas that I am working on being in my own alignment and design and ascension path for it. So, when my unconscious signal goes to protect this area. I have literal pain in that area sometimes, and it needs to be protected. So protection can be a reason. Just think about it, putting others at a little bit more of a distance. They can't quite reach your soul. Your body is intending to protect your soul. Another reason is grounding, because if we are adding density by the process of putting in more calories than we need, than our basal metabolic rate requires, and therefore, and also not using up those calories, which is another alchemical process I'll talk about in a moment. It Eating itself is grounding. So when we are stressed out and worried, that's an astral process. It's a non-present state. And that's what's going on in the energy. And it's staticky and it's non-present. And so eating is grounding. We are literally ingesting density. We're ingesting earth. And so eating is grounding. And that's what could be happening as well, as if we are overly astral, anxious, or depression does this as well, anything along those lines, then the urge is to ground ourselves. And of course, we know other nuances there, that it's comforting to eat and, these other things. That all really speaks to grounding. So these are some areas to consider when we are ascending the body and releasing density. Another awareness to have about holding density is just that it is unprocessed emotions, as Dr. Kappa said in that previous slide, unprocessed emotions. And so working through the release of that density means also working through the alchemical process of ascending the mind. Mind-body ascension is a process that is correlated, interrelated. And then what we can do is we can ask ourselves, what is being protected? Why are we grounded? What is unprocessed? So what is being protected? As we look at body syndrome, as I mentioned earlier, the body syndrome chart would have us look at the chakras related to it. I was already mentioning this. So what am I protecting? I am protecting my precious energy and my precious emotions. And so how can I feel? How can I align with my safety? Whether that is by changing activities and relationships or changing my state. Maybe I am safe in the relationships and activities I'm already creating in my life, but my inner child is not sure of it. And so I need to negotiate with her. I need to talk to her and let her know that we are safe. And I need to be running a frequency of safety. And that's the opportunity that I have. And I got to tell you, I'm speaking from experience of this, because just last year I released 20 pounds of density, and I still have like 5 or something that I can release. Although I'm fine with the process, I'm not worried about it at all. But essentially, that's where I did all of this. I look at all of this, and awareness. This video intends to give you just the process of awareness, which will take you very far. Okay, my next slide here is helping us to understand alchemical and ascension process. This is from the Law of One, the raw material. And the question had been posed, like, what is the proper path to enlightenment? And Ra says the proper role of the entity is, in this density, to experience all things desired, then analyze, understand, and accept these experiences, distilling from them the love light within them. That which is not needed falls away. Ooh, that which is not needed falls away, like holding density in the physical body that is not needed. It will fall away as we are able to be in connection with our desires, to be able to embrace ourselves, experiencing our desires. Then, as we've had experiences, whatever those are, whatever the conditions lay out to be, we analyze, understand, and accept the experiences, drawing them back to the desires and distilling the love light from them. This is the process of shadow work. But what I have to point out to you is distilling, the language that Ra chose of distillation. Now, this is my former career. I was in the spirits industry, and I'm going to go ahead and remove that. That distillation is, we take a product, let's say we're going to make a brandy. We take wine is the first thing that we take. You apply heat to the wine. And when it boils, there is a separation. When water boils, there's steam. Well, when you boil wine, the alcohol, actually, it's a lighter density. So the alcohol releases first as the steam. And then we capture that essence. And that is what is called spirit. when we're making brandy, the spirit. So we actually take a complete product and we apply an alchemical process of heat, and then we capture a more refined product. Now, if you're thinking like we're talking about booze, it doesn't matter. We're talking about distillation. This is also how medicine is made, by the way. And so we capture it and then we condense it again into a new product, and it is refined. What is left behind is density that is no longer potable or utilizable, but it has been used in the process of it. So this is not about repressing or pushing away issues in order to release density of the body or the mind. It's actually about utilizing all of it, creating that pressure or that heat, which is the process of self discovery and inner child work and shadow work and all of these processes of extending the heat of compassion. Do you understand that compassion is to be with the passion? Passion, the root word there, the etymology of it is actually difficulty, suffering, pain, or heat. The heat that is applied to it, which is a profound compassion for yourself as well as for others, because a lot of times we have to extend compassion for others to move through a full process of releasing a trauma. Of course we do, because we were innocent children when a lot of these traumas occurred, and we have to figure out how to make that come back into alignment so it isn't holding us in a dense pattern any longer. And so, the last thing that I will bring to your attention about releasing density in the physical body, being on a body ascension process as it concerns improving your body composition toward lessening the density of it. You know, of course, because again, once just mentioning one more time, sometimes improving the body composition does mean to add, and that's a whole different process. It's a similar process. It's just in reverse. However, but I want to talk about, as we're talking about distillation, we're talking about alchemy, we're talking about refining, that a calorie, a calorie is the energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water through 1 degree Celsius. A calorie points directly to the process of alchemy, the process of distillation. And so, if we can feel more at ease about the process of it, and then in fact, as we're releasing density in the body, we are ascending, we are being on a body ascension process, a mind body ascension process, a mind body spirit ascension process, because these do not operate independently. Then we can get on our own side about it and realize that changing a habit, if that's necessary, is not something that is painful or difficult. As a matter of fact, we are moving ourselves to a greater sense of being on path with our mission. Now, one last thing I will say about mind body ascension is that it is a process that we're always on, improving our well-being, balancing our well-being, improving our health, and that means in all of the parts of you is required in order to be more fully on our mission, lest we be held back by the density. And that is meant to be as an encouragement, because it's actually just a part of it is the process itself, is to figure out how to manipulate energy from one form or another. That's the whole gig that we're on. That's the Christhood path, spirit becoming human, human ascending to spirit. That's what Christhood path is. So if you are a wanderer, if you are one who is spiritually pursuing and spiritually awakening, then you came into this life. You got a ticket to ride this ride because you have a mission. You have the choice to activate that mission or not. But I will tell you, directly correlated with being on your mission is mind, body, spirit, but mind, body ascension. Not just spirit, not just learning. That's fantastic and wonderful. Being of service, fantastic and wonderful. But how are you being of service? And this leads us to discipleship. We think of discipline as, well, first of all, it's associated with being in trouble, getting a spanking or getting grounded or, having to go to detention. But in the word discipline is the word disciple. So to what are you being a disciple? Being disciplined in your body ascension process, in the releasing density process, is being a disciple to that which is more important to you, that which is your ascension path, that which feels good, better for you, that which is your deeper desires. And so shift, reframe, if you will, discipline to discipleship. and look at to what you are being a disciple and allow that calibration to come into alignment for you, for your mission, for your well-being, for your health, and for your radiance. All right, that's what I have for you. Reframing, losing weight, strike through, never again. Body Ascension. Stay tuned to my podcast because, like I said, I have a fuller version of stuff like this coming out on the podcast, probably more than one episode talking about the mind body ascension process. I also would love to invite you to check out the description so that you can see if you are aligned to work with me. I am a mind body ascension coach. I use my hypnotherapeutic tools, my hypno healing tools, my quantum resonance tools in my mind body ascension program. This is an exclusive program. It requires an investment. Requires application. So if you think you may be interested in attuning your mind body ascension process so that you can be more prolifically and powerfully on your soul mission path here in this life, check it out. I don't take a lot of people in the program just because of being able to be of service, but also because of being calibrated in the energy. So consider it if you like, but also remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, and click the little bell so you get notifications when I post these videos and many more. Follow the podcast. Find me on Instagram at Tricia Carr Charm. And with that, thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.